Yo, what is going on, guys? You got Hikertoad here, and today I am bringing you CPC Quarterfinals up against Techno. Very good battler, the current champion of CPC, and we did play him in the regular season and did manage to get a win against him. But just going into our opponent, Techno's a very solid battler. He's had a solid season. I think he went 7-3 and still somehow got the third seed, which we ended up with the second seed. So the other conference in his conference. So his conference is just pretty stacked. I think the lowest record there was 7-3, maybe. I don't know. Yost might have went 6-4. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that I'm pretty sure Tech went 7-3. So very good season for him, and he has just a terrifying team that really just helped him back up that record, and just very solid battler. So this is definitely not going to be an easy game. So I'll just get into his team. He has that will also be on the screen, the Landorus Incarnate with Sheer Force, Latias, Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, Circuitry, Chandelure, Skuntank, Gigalith, and Mega Glalie, with his Z move users being the Circuitry and the Gigalith. So, just looking at the matchup, last time when we played, he brought Landorus I, Latias, Tapu Fini, Circuitry, Skuntank, and the Gigalith. Just heads up, this is probably going to be a bit long since I am going to try and go into my full thought process, just since it's playoffs and all that, and I haven't really done team builders for a few weeks, so definitely wanted to do one for this one. And then last time I did bring the Mega Mawile, the Tornadus, the Piloswine, the Darmanitan, the Alolan Persian, and then the Quillfish. So definitely wanted to try and not bring a predictable team, just try and catch him a bit off guard. But Mega Mawile, just first off, Mega Mawile just has a simply fantastic matchup versus him. It takes advantage of a Ferrothorn wanting to get up Hazards, or a Gigalith that wants to switch into Tornadus, because he doesn't have the best responses to Tornadus. So if I can U-turn on the Gigalith into Mega Mawile, I can pretty much just guarantee myself a kill, as he does not have a switch in to Mega Mawile whatsoever, especially if I do manage to get the Trick Room up, which I am running in the back. So yeah, Mega Mawile is just absolutely solid. No reason not to bring it. It's absolutely necessary, as well as I can check stuff like Latias if he wants to, if he doesn't have any coverage for this on it or whatever, as well as I can somewhat pressure the Tapu Fini if Mega Mawile is still healthy. And the coverage, obviously, just Fire Fang for Ferrothorn, knockoff for the Chandelure, and then dual stabs just hits everything else. Investment, pretty much just max attack, and then I have 20 speed in 20 EVs in speed, because I was anticipating a somewhat fast Gigalith potentially with the Z Earthquake, because that could OHKO my Mega Mawile or heavily damage it. And so if he did want to try and speed creep a no speed Mega Mawile, because I don't have any real reason to run any speed on Mega Mawile, then that definitely could have been something that he could have done, and could have definitely caught my Mega Mawile off guard, and could have been very bad. So next up I do have the Tornadus. Just as a general overall pivot this game, you can pivot into stuff like Latias, Landorus. If it doesn't go for the Rock Slide, I can take pretty much anything else from it, and just threaten stuff like Ferrothorn and all that, can knock off items and just be annoying, and check stuff like Chandelure, because Chandelure isn't something that he brought last game, but definitely something like a Scarf Chandelure could definitely be threatening to my team. As I just have enough speed for the Latias, I'm pretty sure, and just Heat Wave to hit the Ferrothorn harder, Hurricane just for stab, knock off U-turn, pretty self-explanatory. Just a very bulky set to ensure that I don't get Twit KO'd by stuff like Chandelure's Fire Blasts and all that. I can probably tank hits from Latias as well, even if it's Spec Psyshock, so I can help take that. And Yeah, the Mega Mawile Tornadus core is just very difficult for him to bring, so I felt that there was no real reason to not just bring these two again. Although the sets are obviously different, but the Mons are just like the Mons are still the same Mons, so yeah. And next up, I have a bit of heat, sort of, not really, kind of. That was yeah. But I have the Starmie with Rapid Spin, Trick Room, Thunderbolt, and Hydro Pump. So Starmie is very difficult for Tech to deal with, as last time he did end up bringing in an Assault Vested Skunk Tank, but due to the fact that I've only brought Starmie to like 1 or 2 games, as well as the fact he can just bring other Mons, potentially check it, as Skunk Tank doesn't really have the best matchup. I don't think that'll really come. I could definitely see him trying to check this with Latias or Ferrothorn, or potentially both. So I definitely think that is what he will do. I have Hydro Pump because Hydro Pump's necessary. I want Spin to get rid of hazards. My reasoning for Thunderbolt is just so I can hit Tapu Fini harder in case he is a Calm Mind variant. As Psyshock, if he's like Fizz Def Calm Mind, Psyshock still doesn't do that much, so I did want to just have Thunderbolt, and I'm not worried about this hitting Latias, because no matter what, it won't really do much even if I had like Ice Beam. So I only really considered Hidden Power Fire as the last slot to help hit Ferrothorn harder over Thunderbolt. And then I think, and the main part about this set is just Trick Room, because this Starmie lures in Ferrothorn and Latias. And so what that does is I can Trick Room on a predicted switch into one of them, and then on the following turn I can go into my Mega Mawile. And Mega Mawile under Trick Room is just absolutely devastating versus him. He doesn't really have much for it, besides like a slow Z Earthquake Gigalith or something like that. That's the only thing I can really see him preventing Mawile from getting a kill with Trick Room up. It's pretty much guaranteed a kill. So definitely I do like this, as it's a good lure for that and can help set Mawile to do some breaking. And next up I do have my Nidoqueen. It's just supposed to be an all-around bulky Mon to take on some hits from his team with the Assault Vest, double Assault Vest this week. Ice Beam just for Lando. I can live any hit from Lando, even if it's Life Orb. I can take any hit from full if I do want to do that, so it's a decent lead if I do want to lead with that. Earth Power, Sludge Wave just for stab, Sludge Wave for Fini. I considered Poison Jab, but like I thought that he might bring like a Fizz Def, like a max HP Fizz Def thing, Fini, which Poison Jab still wouldn't do a lot to, and if he wasn't Calm Mind, then it wouldn't just really be worth it. And I wanted this Nidoqueen to be able to somewhat beat the Fini, because I am pretty bulky and I do have the Assault Vest, so it can kind of do that. So yeah, it's just an overall pivot. It's like a backup check to Chandelure or Xurkitree, basically to help alleviate pressure off of the Tornadus and Piloswine, to really just allow them to, like, for me to play more reckless with them if I do want to do that, which I do like a lot. As well as this, once again, does lure in the Latias, and the more I can get in the Latias, the better that is, because I can potentially just use that to get into Mawile, or I can just use that to get into Torn and get some free momentum. So next up I have Piloswine again, the third and final Mon that I'm bringing from last time, with the spreads tweaked a bit, but same moves. Piloswine's just absolutely amazing versus his team. His best response to it is probably the Tapu Fini and then Ferrothorn. Other than that, everything else just loses to the combination of ground plus ice. And with the priority, it's really nice at checking Landorus and maybe stuff like Calm Mind Latias, as that's the only threatening Latias to this team that I have built. So I do have that in mind. I did have that in mind when I built this. So yeah, it's just overall pivot, helps check stuff like Xurkitree and Gigalith and eventually Chandelure as well, but this won't be my main response to that. Mainly just helps check stuff, and it does a good chunk to Tapu Fini as well. Like Earthquake does, I think, like 30 or whatever. So definitely keeping this around for that chip is very, very solid. And the final mon I considered having Alolan Executor and mainly Scarf Darmanitan again, but he has a lot of good Scarf Darmanitan responses, and because I was mainly just considering it for like Scarf Chandelure, or like Setup Xurkitree, or like Scarf Xurkitree, or like non-Scarf Landorus, as he did bring Scarf last time, so maybe he wanted to potentially switch it up. So, but in the end, I think that this Mon has a better matchup and can allow me to sort of just put on more pressure, as I do have the Alolan Executor with Leaf Storm, Trick Room, Draco Meteor, and Flamethrower. Pretty much, if I get a Trick Room up, I'm pretty much guaranteed a kill, unless he does pivot around it perfectly with like Ferrothorn on like the Draco or Leaf Storm, and then he doesn't lose him on. Like he has to really just like his only way to not lose him on when Trick Room is up and Mega Mawile or Executor in, he has to just pivot around with Ferrothorn and just hope that I can actually overpredict and maybe stay in, or just like hope that, or just have it that I play safe and he just switches out, pivots around me, and just wastes my Trick Room turns. So yeah, this is a really cool set. Dragon Fang, Draco Meteor pretty much just kills everything, and so I'm pretty much just guaranteed to kill, and I can, like I said, I can just switch into Mega Mawile after as well. Flamethrower for the Ferrothorn and just dual stab because Leaf Storm is good for Tapu Fini and Gigalith, because like as long as I just weaken them, it doesn't even matter. I don't really have to Oko them. And so, I'm not really sure if he'd really want to run ice coverage on certain Mons. Like Landorus Eye, last time he didn't have it. I think he had it on Circuitry last time, but because it does hit the Nidoqueen as well. But I'm not sure if he'll really be anticipating the Alolan Executor, as some consider it a meme, but it's definitely very, very powerful this match. Things that I'm not really just expecting. Mega Glalie, I really didn't, not really expecting it. It can come if he wants to try and go like with Spikes, Glalie, and like try and hazard stack me, not expecting Starmie. But overall, it doesn't really break my team all that too well, so I'm not exactly expecting it. And I don't think he'd bring the Skunk Tank again, so it's like, those are the main things I really just don't see coming. Everything else I really see is fair game. So yeah, with that, I am going to hop right into the battle, and I will be back. Yo, what is going on, guys? You got Hikertoad here, and I'm here with the battle against Based Tech, aka Techno, for round 1 CPC Playoffs. So just quickly before I get into the battle, I actually want to shout out Narth Vader and K Crick for giving me a mock for this battle. Didn't mention it before, but I figured I might as well mention it out now, so I could help. They helped me help test out the team, see that it was good and all that. So looking at the team that Techno decided to bring, he has the Gigalith, Tapu Fini, Ferrothorn, Landorus Eye, Latias, and the Circuitry. So he didn't bring the Chandelure, and he didn't bring, I think that's it. Yeah, the Chandelure is mainly the other one that I thought was likely to come over. I somewhat expected the Ferrothorn in this matchup, but I was really hoping that it just wouldn't come as it is quite a nuisance, as it can just pivot around. Well, it can allow him to pivot around. I'm messing up all my words right now, but yeah, it can allow him to pivot around my potential sweepers like Mega Mawile and Alolan Executor. So yeah, pretty scary team. This is probably best team that he could have brought, potentially expecting like Ground EMZ, Earthquake with the Gigalith, maybe Calm Mind, Tapu Fini, just Hazards Ferrothorn. I think he might bring Life Orb, Blando, or he might bring Scarf again. Calm Mind Lottie could be good as well. And then I'm not entirely sure on the Circuitry, but I have to be careful if he's like a Z-Terrain, Tail Glow, Thunderbolt, and Energy Ball. That could be very threatening if I allow my team to get whittled in the early game. Could be a good late game. So yeah, I'm just going to get right into the match, and I'm going to lead off with the Alolan Executor here. Basically, it stops him from getting up hazards if he leads with the Gigalith or the Ferrothorn, and also I do have the Frisk. So immediately turn 1, he reveals to be Choice Scarfed on his Landorus, so I can live any hit with the Landorus. I expect him to just U-turn out into something, so I'm just going to Trick Room, but even if he does have the Hidden Power Ice this time, I can live it, so just Trick Rooming up is a pretty much no drawback play, as he's locked into the Hidden Power Ice. So I'm just going to switch out into my Mawile, as if he does Hidden Power Ice again on a Flamethrower. Like if I Flamethrowered and he stayed in, I would lose my Alolan Executor. But if he did try and stay in, expecting me to overpredict, I would be in an amazing position with my Mawile. And meanwhile, and if he does go into the potentially Ferrothorn, take like a Draco or a Leaf Storm or something like that, Mega Mawile can't beat it as well. So he's actually going to go right into that Ferrothorn, as I'm going to Mega Evolve and expecting him to expect the Fire Fang and potentially go out into something like a bulky Tapu Fini or a potentially maybe slow Groundium Z Gigalith, as I think no matter what he's probably going to be that Groundium Z Gigalith. I just don't know if he's going to be a fast variant or a slow variant. I think both could then definitely work. So I'm just going to go for the Iron Head, as he does stay in and go for the rocks. So expecting him to switch out again, I am going to go for the Iron Head again, as he does indeed stay in, as I'm just going to finally fire off the Fire Fang, as I think that he's just I think at this point he is just fine with sacking that off, so I'm just going to go for the Fire Fang. Ferrothorn's going to drop, and I do unfortunately not have any Trick Room turns left, which is a bit annoying, but as I probably should have tried into Fire Fang the previous turn, as I still would have had a Trick Room turn left, but the first one is gone, which is good, as he's just going to go out into his Tapu Fini, as I'm just going to go out into my Tornado, see what he wants to do. I can live any hit with ease, as he does go for the Hidden Power Ground, which is for the Quillfish that I could have brought, I'm pretty sure, and it does hit I think it does hit Mega Mawile more than, I'm actually not sure. I think Surf might do more to Mega Mawile if he does have Surf, so I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, we do not get affected by that, so we don't really know what his spread is yet. He doesn't know what ours is either though, so I'm just going to fire off a knockoff, see what he wants to do, as he reveals to be Assault Vest Xurkitree, so this is a sort of check to it, as I'm going to go into my Executor and just sack it off right now, as he's just going to finish me off with the HP Ice. And so now I'm just going to go into my Assault Vest Nidoqueen. I can live any hit with ease, and I think he's either going to just stay in and attack again, or he's going to go into his Latias. And so I think my best play here is the Sludge Wave. Sludge Wave doesn't kill, but it does put the Xurkitree in range of a Rapid Spin from Starmie if he does live, which I think it's a roll, but I think it's in his favor. And I want him to live anyways if he does stay in, because he takes the Sludge Wave and then he can die from Rapid Spin from Starmie on the next turn. So I am going to take the Hidden Power Ice. He's going to take the Sludge Wave, and he's just going to knock me out with the Energy Ball now. But I am just going to get that free spin kill, and Hazards will no longer be up for the rest of my team, which is very nice at keeping Tornadus and Piloswine healthy, as well as kind of Mawile, but not exactly Mawile. Mawile is pretty much dead at this point, as he's just going to go into his Landorus. Doesn't lose much by U-turning, he just gains momentum from that. So I'm going to U-turn out, and this damage reveals that he doesn't have like max HP. So this definitely could led me to believe that he might be a more offensive variant, and could definitely have some speed in there, because I think he needs like mid hundreds of EVs to put in speed to be able to outspeed a non-speed Mawile. So he'd definitely have to run a lot of. He would definitely lose a lot of EVs if he did do that. So I definitely think that might be the case there, as I'm just going to go into my Mega Mawile. He does miss the Stone Edge, which is unfortunate. Wouldn't have killed, but it definitely would have. I don't think. Well, it's unfortunate in the sense that it missed, but I don't think it really affected anything. As on the next turn, I'm just going to outspeed him and go for the Iron Head, as he probably did expect himself to outspeed, but he didn't really have a switch in regardless. So I think that was his best play, if he was, even to just hope that I would maybe overpredict, or just that he could get the Earthquake off. So I'm going to keep my Mega Mawile as sack fodder and try and knock this off, as he just goes for the Hidden Power Ground again, as he does reveal the leftovers now. I still don't know what his spread is, so I'm just going to knock off and get the leftovers off, as he reveals Calm Mind, which is very scary. I don't really have much for a Calm Mind Fini at this point in the game. I really don't have that much for it in general, but especially at this point in the game, I don't have too much for it. So I'm just going to be forced to fire off a Hurricane, see how much that does. He reveals to not be a max HP variant, so he might have some investment, he might have some speed, as he just goes for the Calm Mind again, which is really bad. Thankfully, I'm hitting my Hurricanes, as +2 Moonblast does a lot to my AV Torn. I have like max HP and a lot of Spadef as well, so he definitely does have some investment in that Tapu Fini. So now I'm just going to U-turn out. I can't lose my Tornadus at this point. I could potentially lose to the Landorus then, if it could just spam Earth Power and clean if my Paliswine is low or removed. So I'm just going to sack off my Mega Mawile. As basically what I'm going to do now is just going to my Starmie, and I'm going to go for the Thunderbolt, because basically at this point I'm willing to trade off my Starmie for the Tapu Fini, as even if I don't kill with the Thunderbolt there, then I can revenge it with Tornadus on the following turn, which is what I need, which is what I had to sort of do at that point, as I didn't want to risk Hurricanes with Tornadus, as it's not a reliable strategy. 70% chance to miss, 30% chance to hit. Technically you should be hitting, but you know what, it's Hurricane, so you never know. As he does go into the Landorus on my Thunderbolt, which is a very good play. Definitely could have been Side Shock, but he would have lived that anyways, and he did scout out what I did have. So he's just going to U-turn out. It's a very free play on his part. Go back out into the Latias, and I'm going to knock off his Life Orb, and he's going to go for the Healing Wish, which is very bad because now I have one less sack, and my Torn is at a lower position. So now he's going to be able to heal up his Tapu Fini all the way back up to full, which is very bad. Especially since, mostly just because I'm Soul Fest and I don't have Taunt on this. If I had Taunt, it might have been easier, but I did like the idea of a AB Torn in this matchup. So I'm just going to fire off a U-turn, yep, as I don't want to risk missing, and I was just going to go straight to Starmie, as Starmie can live any hit if you want to attack. And if he didn't attack him, like went for Calm Mind, I could have gotten some big damage off with Thunderbolt. As I'm going to go into my Paliswine, and I'm going to double back out into my Tornadus, as I don't think he'd ever Rock Slide there. And even if he did, I would live. So I'm going to U-turn again. We're going to repeat the process. I'm going to go out into my Paliswine, and now here you see that he's going to Earth Power, as he's expecting me to stay in, expecting him to go out into... He's going to expect me to predict him to go into Fini, which is exactly what I do, as I do go for the Earthquake, as that would have done like a solid, which would have done a solid 40% to the Tapu Fini. So that's actually very bad, as now Paliswine most certainly dies to a +1. Tapu Fini is that I actually think I had a chance to live before if I was at full. So definitely very, very bad now that this happened, as my Paliswine's now weakened, and if he keeps on making plays like these, then I will just pretty much lose, as I'm going to make the safe play into my Tornadus, as he's going to double right back out into his Tapu Fini. The play was obvious on his part, as Tornadus was obvious on my part, and I definitely could have Earthquaked again. But I think that even if I do continue to play safe, I think that I do have a solid chance to win. Meanwhile, he has to make the aggressive plays. So if he all of a sudden just doesn't want to make the aggressive play, and I make the safe play, then I will get rewarded for that, while he will get punished for not making the aggressive play. So overall, I'm in the better position of who has to make risky plays. So I'm just going to go into my Tornadus. I'm going to just U-turn out once again. No, I'm going to Hurricane because I don't want to repeat the process, because this process will probably just be a losing battle for me. And he's gone into Landorus every time, so I just want to get the damage off on that. As I think he's just going to Rock Slide right here, as that is exactly what he's going to do, which is very good. And so I get OHKO'd by Surfed. Surf OHKO's my Paliswine at this point, so I don't care if I take any damage from this. And so I think that he might stay in here. I also think that he also might go into Tapu Fini. But regardless, I think that my best play is to go for the Icicle Sphere. Not sphere, not a circle. As he does stay in, and I'm just going to go that, as basically did the most damage to. It did more damage to Tapu Fini than Ice Shard would have, and it didn't matter how much health I was have. So that was the better play than Ice Shard. And if I did Earthquake right there, it would have just come down to a 50-50. Where if I Ice Sharded and he went into Tapu Fini, I could have potentially just I could have just eventually gotten into a position where I could lose to Scarf Rock Slide, as that would do a decent chunk to Starmie. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it does like a bit under half, maybe. I didn't ever calc it, but I do think it would have done a lot. So I'm going to thankfully take this out at this point, as he's going to go into the Tapu Fini. He's going to Calm Mind, as I'm just going to click it. The Earthquake does a lot to him. I contemplated clicking Ice Shard here, but if he did Calm Mind again, that would have been a choke. Like, the only reason why I really contemplated going for the Ice Shard is the chip, because I could go for the Ice Shard, then with the Starmie I go for the Thunderbolt, and then maybe I don't have to risk Hurricane with the Tornadus if I do get good enough rolls, which is what I was thinking. But it was definitely 100% better to just go with the rolls, as if I did go for the Ice Shard, like I said, and he Calm Minded, that was just a choke. Even if he did just attack me and not go for the Calm Mind, that was just a choke. Like obviously, like if he Calm Minds on another Earthquake, he just straight up loses. He doesn't have any counter play, so you could say that he would like never make that play, but it's sort of just leads to slippery slopes, because it's like his objective best play was to just attack me, and mine was just an Earthquake, which is what happened. But if either of us decided to be risky and try and like think that one of us would try and potentially throw the game, we could have tried to do that. So yeah, that's something that could have happened. As I'm just going to go into my Starmie, go for the Thunderbolt, which does a lot. At this point, I realized he doesn't have. Well, actually, I didn't even realize this during the game. I realized this afterwards when he told me, but he did not have any bulk on this whatsoever. So that just did a lot. So now this game is going to come down to whether or not I hit a Hurricane, because the combination of knockoff plus knockoff shouldn't kill him, I think. And if it does kill him, it's a roll, I think, which is not something that I want to mess with. I'd honestly just rather mess with the Hurricane. I don't like knockoff. I don't think knockoff would have killed if I went for choice. But yeah, I have two chances here. I can live 2 hits. I might even be able to live 3, but I think it's 2. But yeah, I think it's 2 because he was max special attack, so I would have died to 2. So basically, if I hit a Hurricane, I win. If I miss 2 Hurricanes, I lose. So yeah, I managed to hit the Hurricane, and we managed to beat Tech in a very, very close game. Very down to the wire. This is probably one of the best games that I've had all season. Definitely very fun, and definitely a shame that this is a game that Tech was knocked out from us. I definitely think this could have been like a semis or a finals worthy game. So yeah, with that, we are now on to the semifinals. I'm not going to spoil who we play yet, because I'm actually not 100% sure on who will end up playing. There's a few things that need to be sorted out and a few games that still need to be done. So as there's only 2 games done at this point as I'm recording this. So yeah, if you did enjoy this long video, longer video than usual. It's not too long, I hope not. Yeah, if you did enjoy, just leave a like and comment down below and all that, and I'll be bringing you guys the semifinals next week. Definitely gonna be trying to get that trophy. So yeah, see you guys later. Peace.